Hello, welcome back to the channel. So we have gotten a lot of good characters recently. Maybe a bit too good, but I've been kind of wondering for a bit, what is the best character of each element in the game right now? Now I'm going to be looking at this mainly purely based on gameplay, since story and design are pretty subjective onto what is the best. And I'm not going to count any characters that aren't out yet, so Dan won't be here since he isn't released yet, and I'm not going to talk about Cyrene since I don't like talking about leaks, and I don't know where the kid is since it hasn't been officially revealed. I'm also going to try and look at it from an average player's perspective, so if a character needs a bunch of other 5 stars to be good, then I don't think they're going to be as good for most players. So let's start with the first element being physical. There are 3 characters I think are the main candidates for this. Hycelians, who is really good and finally made Dot an actual thing again, but she is really only good in Dot, so I wouldn't say she is the overall best. Phynon, who is one of the best DPSs right now, just hits like a truck in his ultimate form, basically can't die. The only thing that holds him back, kind of like Hycelians, is that his teams are very limiting. He really needs Sunday to work, and either Ceridra or Bronya be able to actually get his ultimate consistently, and he can sometimes feel like he's hard to actually, make it work consistently. So I think that I am going to have to give it to Robin. She can work on a lot of teams, especially ones with, faster characters, or, characters that want to just attack a lot in general. Just team-wide action advance is always going to be just an insane ability to have. And, the extra damage that she gives is also just great as well on most teams. You can never go wrong with just having her on your account, and she just enables so many archetypes like follow-up and all of that to work at all. So moving on to Fire, which I think is in a bit of a weird spot since it hasn't gotten a character since Feud, even though Maide really should have just been Fire, but anyway, I've already done that rant before. And a lot of them are really not in that great of a spot since they're pretty old. So I think that the best one right now is just Linksha. She is obviously, the best in Break, but she is also just good in general because she can do a lot of healing and can also, buff as well. She's great with, Castris, even if Hyacinth in those teams is just better. Or even in, Dot or in follow-up as well, because her buddy thing does count as a follow-up. She just does her job really well, which a lot of the other Fire characters kind of just don't. Ice is another hard one, because all of the top characters, I think, are almost all equally as good as one another. Remembrance FC is insane, especially for a free unit, mainly just because of how broken true damage is, and also having action advance forward on a character that anyone can have is really valuable. Herda hits like a truck, and I think it's probably the most, diverse 5-star in the game right now, at least of the newer ones. She has so many great, teammate options you can have. Obviously, there's, the best ones, Anaxa and Jade being the best, but there's still, other characters that can work well with her, too. Ruan Mei is also a, great support for a lot of teams, with, Dot even in, Caster's teams as well. And we also got her for free, which is pretty good, though I don't think she is quite as good as some of the other support options. I don't think she would be the best, and also I just think that Remembrance MC is kind of just better, even if she is great. And then there's Evernight, who honestly is just kind of broken. The only thing that holds her back is just not having great light cone options, which is more just a problem with Remembrance as a whole, and mainly just buffing Memo Sprites. So I think that even with Evernight being as broken as she is, because she is kind of limiting, I'm going to give it to Remembrance MC. Just because, a free action advance character is just so valuable to have, and just true damage as a mechanic is just insane. And if any, more broken character had it, I think that the game would just be over, honestly. Though I think that you could honestly make the argument for almost all 4 of them. They are so good. Lightning is also kind of a weird one, since basically all of the good characters have that problem of being pretty limiting. Aglaia really needs Sunday to work at all. Acheron is pretty reliant on, Jiaoqiu and either Silverwolf or Cypher. Kafka also only really works in Dot teams, and then the other Lightning characters are kind of just not that great. So I think that out of all of them, I would have to go Kafka, since Dot is just really good right now. You know, high ceilings being as insane as she is. And she is basically like the core of what makes Dot even really work at all as an archetype. Like, if you don't have Kafka, you're not really playing Dot. And also the buffs that she got just made her feel a lot better to play. Like, I don't know why her skill activating on all of the enemies she hits wasn't just there in the first place. Like, now for Wind, you would think it would be hard, because it has a lot of good characters. You know, Anaxa is great as both a sub-DPS and a main damage dealer. Ho-Ho is great for energy teams. Even someone like Bronya, who is probably the best standard banner character there is just a great support, especially for like fight-on teams and that kind of stuff. So, you know, it would be a hard decision if Hyacinth didn't exist. Like, I honestly can't believe they made this character. Like, she can literally do everything. She has great healing. She also has pretty good, you know, emergency healing as well with her ultimate. She can do a lot of damage, especially since she gets 100% crit rate for free for some reason. Like, she can buff max HP, which just makes Casterus even more broken than she already was. The only kind of bad thing about her is that she's kind of ultimate reliant to actually do all the stuff she wants to do, since, you know, that summons her Memo Sprite and allows her to do all the damage and that kind of stuff. So that also kind of makes her a bit, like, skill reliant, since you want to, you know, spam her skill to be able to get enough energy. But, like, if you're playing her right, you should be able to just get her ultimate consistently. Like, if you have Hyacinth, you basically don't need any other healer. And she also kind of just makes, like, Abundance kind of obsolete, because she's a better healer than most Abundance characters, and she's not even a part of that path. Now, Quantum, I definitely think, has, like, a lot of good options. You could say, like, Archer, since he's free and has insanely good DPS. But it's kind of like a Goliath. He is pretty reliant on Sparkle to be, like, at that level. And he is just really bad in pure fiction. So that makes him a bit more limiting than some other characters. So then I was initially going to say that, you know, Casterus is the best, since she is probably just the best DPS in the game, and has only gotten better with more characters coming out. But at the same time, I think that if we're going to look at it from, like, the average player, like I said in the beginning, then I think that Tribi is the best overall of the Quantum characters. Because she is just the most, like, universal support in the entire game. Like, she can work on literally any team. Besides maybe, like, Break-In, that is it. She's really easy to build, because she just mainly just needs, like, HP and then kind of, like, energy and that kind of stuff. She can do good damage. She pairs really well with a lot of the best DPSs right now, like Phynon and even, like, Archer and that kind of stuff. And, you know, Casterus as well. Like, you could make the argument for Casterus, since she arguably does way too much damage. But, like, I don't feel like you need Casterus as much as you kind of need Tribi for a lot of teams, you know? Like there's other DPS options you can use, and that would be fine. Like, Tribi is just, like, one of the best supports right now. So, I think she is just the best. Now, Imaginary is going to be kind of underwhelming compared to a lot of the other ones, since there's kind of just one clear option, and that is it, that being Sunday. Like, don't get me wrong, My Day is very good, but I feel like he needs a bit more to bring him, like, over that edge to like, insane territory that, like, you know, Casterus and those other characters are. And, like, Aventurine is also great for just not dying, and he's also great with follow-ups and can even debuff with his ultimate. But I feel like he doesn't provide, like, as much besides just not dying, whereas Sunday's buffs are just arguably way too good. Like, he is the core of what makes, like, characters like Phynon or a lot of energy teams even work at all. You know, he gives crit damage and crit rate at the same time. Like, he can give a 50% damage buff if you have a summon, and if you don't, it's still 30%, which is still a lot. He is, like, one of the best action advanced character right next to Remembrance. Like, the difference between having Sunday and not having him is insane. And I would know, as someone who doesn't have Sunday and has been trying to get a lot of the limited supports and has basically lost on almost every single one. Like, at the end of the day, there are a lot of options that you could choose on, like, which is the best, and I think it really depends just on how you look at it. Like, if you're looking at it based on just, like, pure power, then you could say a lot of the DPSs are the best. Or if you're basing on like how easy they are to get, then it would be kind of different. A lot more like the free characters, like even like the new version of Dan, maybe, and that kind of stuff. Or like how I kind of look at it, mainly just how, like, versatile and how great they are for your account in general. Like, that is why I think tier lists are not that great, since there is a lot more nuance to, like, characters than just, oh, this character is good and this character is bad and that kind of thing. But I don't know, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.